Winnipeg is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome to the Landing Strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome back to the Landing Strip, brought to you by From Financial on this Friday evening where the Winnipeg Jets get back in the win column. They make sure to beat the Buffalo Sabres to make it a 1-1 record on the night. And if they're going to get a goal and assist from Cole Koepke in this economy, if they're going to get 34 saves from Eric Comrie, they might just turn this thing around. A big win for the Winnipeg Jets. As Stuart Ferguson says, we are so back, ... Over on Twitch, Choices TK says the backup goalie on a heater, secondary scoring, beat a bad Sabres team, start planning the parade. Mikey, it's Friday night. Why don't we kick this off with some good vibes after it's been a bit of a gloomy couple of weeks on the show here.
If the Jets are turning back the clock and getting some wins, then we're going to turn back the clock on this one too. Let's hit it.
Always love that guy.
Feels good to be again there.
It feels good to get that one in. It's been a while. Mikey, how are you feeling this evening? Getting that emotion out, getting the excitement out. How are you doing on this Friday evening? How are you feeling, buddy?
You know, a lot of emotions have gone through me today. I've really sat back and decided to take a look at what's been going on and, come to terms with the situation at hand here. And, I just want to say that in an incredibly, increasingly unsettled and divided world, it's fundamental to recognize the outstanding contribution of those who work hard to end conflicts and bring people together in a spirit of peace. And in that spirit of peace, I would like to present today the following. This is the first annual Landing Strip Peace Award for Unity in Hockey. Because hockey stands for peace, and on behalf of the entire global hockey community and the Landing Strip Peace Award, I would like to award Scott Arneal the first annual Landing Strip Peace Award for finding a way to keep the top line together, keeping the peace, still finding some scoring and getting a win tonight. Nobody could done it but him. Absolutely, I felt it was appropriate today.
Hey, definitely appropriate. I heard you can just make up peace awards and hand them out. So I think, hey, respect to you. We got another middle six changeup, but Scotty Arneal stuck to the plan and kept the peace. Well done, Mikey. I didn't know where that one was going, but well done indeed. Outside of keeping the peace, what is your big takeaway leaving the Buffalo Sabres versus Winnipeg Jets on this Friday evening? Are you going to be the wet blanket? Am I going to be the good guy tonight? Are we switching roles?
You're going to have to be good cop tonight. You're going to have to be the light shining here, because I honestly think that might have been the worst case scenario where you win a game still. Everything that I think it just reinforced the bad habits that we've kind of been seeing with the way that the lineup goes. Unfortunately, you still only got really main goals from your top line. Yeah, the fourth line chipped in tonight. Awesome, great. I don't know if that's something you can count on game in and game out. If that's something you can count on in a playoff run, in a Stanley Cup final, that's not generally the what's going to be the case, right? Koepke and Pearson aren't going to be popping goals in on a regular basis, because if they were, they wouldn't be on the fourth line. So the thing about it is, no, I'm not really so happy about the win tonight. I think it didn't do anything to further the Jets' cause outside of gaining some points, which is great against the worst team in the Eastern Conference. You would hope they would knock that game out, but I don't know, man. I'm not thrilled still that we found a way to go through that game and learn nothing.
At old Jets fan 66 over on Twitch says, "LOL, love the burn. Give peace a chance." And then in brackets says, "But play some younger guys." Over on YouTube, Caitlin Doucette says, "Comrie stole us that game." Tico Napoli says, "And to think they're glowing with that win. This win is a balaclava," says Tico Napoli. My big takeaway is leaving this one. The Winnipeg Jets top line continues to be good and continues to create offense and bury their chances. I thought this was a night where Gabe Velarde really stood out for me on that group. I think we give a lot of shine to Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, which, I mean, rightfully so. And again, we see Kyle Connor getting in on the offense with second effort to create today. But this was a game I felt Gabe Velarde was really active, getting in on the forward check, working the battles, looking to get to the net front. If hey, we got 2 goals from the fourth line. If you could bet on the fourth line getting outshot attempted 14-5 and burying 2, we might have a bit of a new formula and a new recipe going in. A new recipe as Alex Tuck coughs one up with a soft play at the blue line, and Cole Koepke pokes it to TP70. Tanner Pearson and the guy in my section wanted more 70 minutes after that big breakaway goal. It was a rowdy crowd up in the 300s tonight. A lot of fun up there. But Tanner Pearson goes on a breakaway and does not miss at all. Post in. And then we see the Buffalo Sabres hem the Winnipeg Jets in. Puck sitting on the crease. Somehow they don't bury. And all of a sudden, the Winnipeg Jets are off to an odd man rush the other way, where Morgan Barron finds Cole Koepke. It is possible our new James Wright can score goals in the NHL. In fact, he gets his first of the year, driving to the net with a ton of speed, goes backhand and beats Pekka Luukkonen. And, hey, you get 2 goals. It's been a while. Two goals in this economy from the fourth line, despite how their minutes looked.
That's it.
And if Eric Comrie wants to bail the team out in the slot, where I thought this was a tough game defensively for the Winnipeg Jets. I thought Buffalo did a pretty good job, especially that Tage Thompson line. That line really stood out to me with one of my faves in Zach Benson, as you already know, and Josh Norris up the middle. I thought they did a really good job of picking the Jets apart defensively a little bit and finding those seam passes. But Eric Comrie continued to be up to the task. And my other big takeaway is I felt this was a game, again, that Eric Comrie's one of their best players, if not their best. But to the Jets' credit, I felt like the last 10 minutes of the third period looked like a really quality version of this team, shutting the game down, up 2 goals, nearly up 3. It comes back after a offside 20 seconds past when it had occurred. But to the Jets' credit, I think they capitalized on a lot of mistakes that Buffalo made, rather than necessarily insert their will over Buffalo. I thought Buffalo was very sloppy with the puck in this one. I thought they tried some real high risk plays that really did not go their way. I thought they were the worst of the 2 teams when it came to puck touches. But I also did think over the bulk of the game, they had the better chances. Eric Comrie does not deserve any more slander in this market based on the last 2 games he's given the Winnipeg Jets. But once again, we see a middle 6 shuffle. We see a first period get outshot 15-8. A lot to discuss. A lot you could take away. You got it on the board. You got 2 points, desperately needed. But the idea that this is trending in a good direction, I'm not sure I'm there. I'm not sure I'm there leaving this one, but I'm going to try and pick out the positives as we go today, because it was a Friday night win, and Lord knows the vibe around here has not been good lately.
Yeah, there's a lot that we can nitpick. There's a lot that we can still point out that was good. The big issue, I think, really at the end of the day is that this felt like the same game that we've watched again and again and again kind of recently. The Jets in it with a bad team, the top line going out there scoring some goals, and then they hold on. The only difference, again, being that today the fourth line was absolutely on fire. So, yeah, this is it's an interesting kind of microcosm, I think, of the season as a whole right here.
I actually thought the first period was a microcosm of the season as a whole. They get outshot, get outchanced. The top line drags them to a goal. And then the bottom nine takes 2 offensive zone tripping penalties. And the Sabres are able to capitalize on the second one. But that is the only goal they're able to beat Eric Comrie in this one, who I thought was fantastic side to side. There was a couple times that it looked like he had overcommitted, and the Sabres had the puck in the slot, in the crease, and they could not bury. And to the Winnipeg Jets' credit defensively, in those situations, they did crack down and ensure an easy goal was not delivered. This game had some pros. It had some cons. If you want to take some optimism out of it, I guess the scoreboard will give you that reason. If you watch the last 10 minutes, I think that was a team that actually cracked down and played a brand of their hockey to get them this W, which is probably the best 10-minute stretch we've seen in some time, to my money, across the lineup. So I think that was a positive. And the fact that Eric Comrie seems to have found something and gotten hot. As for the recipe, I don't think this is quite it yet. I don't think this is quite it yet. And my worry, like you arrive at, is we just got a fresh 5 to 6 game slate of trying this formula. And if you look at the schedule next week, don't like where this is going. Don't like where it's going. But hey, they got the W tonight. Let's not beat it up too much.
That's right.
Where do you want to go to start with this one? Obviously, that we give the top line a lot of love. Even on this night, they end up getting the empty netter. Gabe Vilardi seals it. But at 5-5, it's the fourth line. What did you see out of Koepke, Pearson, and Morgan Barron on this night?
You know, outside of those 2 main opportunities, it wasn't a great night for those guys out on the ice. I'm really curious why the team is so insistent on throwing out the fourth line with the bottom pairing all the time. It seems to be that is they're constantly deployed with the third pairing, and it just makes it so much harder, I think, on both sets of guys. So I think a lot of that tonight was, a little bit of that. And the fact that, again, you're not going to get, super high quality minutes out of those guys. They got almost 9 minutes 5-on-5 tonight, which is great. But again, you had a lead, so you have that opportunity to do so. But the minutes they were out there, they weren't setting the world on fire outside of those 2 chances. So I do like Cole Koepke. I continue to like when he's in the game over Gustav Nyquist. Morgan Barron, again, he's a good player, I think, just when he has the opportunity to be. I don't know if it's going to be, like I said, on fire, the big night every single night, but you know that he has that in him there. And hey, Tanner Pearson turned back the clock on that goal, so I'll take the result if not so much the process from that second. Yes, almost called it a second line from that fourth line.
Hey, you and Frosty are on the same page then. As Frosty Winnipeg says, remember when I was joking about Pearson being on the second line yesterday? Turns out he is on the second line with Barron and Koepke. Obviously, they come up with big moments in this one. And Morgan Barron, in the third period, almost gets the fourth line hat trick with that look on the fast break. And that is one aspect I do think the Jets did well tonight. Again, I thought the Buffalo Sabres were really sloppy with the puck and became more sloppy as they fell behind in this one, trying to create more for themselves. And we did see a team that does depend on rush offense a little bit, something we've talked about. They feel one and done. We saw them capitalize on their rush attempts today, and I don't think that that's a small feat for what we've been seeing from this group.
Yep.
From that group and a lot of the bottom nine, I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not ready to say that what we saw is something, as Mr. Meowcat once says, all our worries are over. Panic button has been put in the lockbox, question mark. I'm not sure
Not
that
quite.
that's true for what I watched tonight, but it was genuinely nice to see Tanner Pearson produce something. His fourth goal of the year. That's got to be what in the top 4 or 5
Yep.
of the Winnipeg Jets right now.
Yep.
Cole Koepke gets on the board. If that line's going to get outshot 14-5 every night, again, I don't think this is the formula.
Yeah.
But on a night like this, they jump over Buffalo's mistakes and come up big in key moments. And given where this team is right now, I think we have to be in the acceptance stage that this is who they are. And if we can get a win going there in that respect, we got to take it right now. This is who they are.
Yep. Yeah, bank the points when you can, capitalize on the big nights from the top line when you can, and if you get lucky enough where, some of the depth guys are able to chip in, then it looks like a little bit of a bonus. It's that's going to be the recipe. That's the way that they're cooking this one up. Are we going to get to the nuclear option, the super line, the all center left-handed trump card that Scott Arniel broke out today?
Let's talk about it. And hey, again, Mikey, you were talking about Taves moving to the wing like 2 or 3 shows ago.
Yep.
Maybe Scott Arniel is listening to the landing strip and he's just ignoring the big red button that we keep calling for, because part of the middle six shuffle today, we see Vlad Nemestikov and Adam Lowry change lines. Vlad jumps into the middle of Nino and Iafallo. Lowry jumps into the middle of Taves and Cole Perfetti. What'd you think of that switch? What'd you see from him? And is it something you want to see more of moving forward here from the Winnipeg Jets? As we're now talking about Johnny Taves being a winger for the boys.
I had a good laugh when I saw what was happening up on the screen, because we talked about this a couple games ago. I was pretty surprised that he went to it mid-game, to be honest. Neither of the two lines were doing anything before that. It was not working. The chemistry's not there. The timing's not there. It wasn't working on either spot. I do like the combo of Perfetti and Lowry together on a line. I've always thought that's an interesting thing, that if you can get them a goal scorer, that would be maybe a fun line to work off of. If that's going to be the case, if we're going to get to see maybe Lowry centering a line with Perfetti and Taves for a run, I think it might be a better spot for Jonathan Taves right now. I think the extra weight and responsibility of playing center is just a little bit too much while he's trying to work on getting the rest of the game speed back up. It hasn't been there, and it gives him the chance to do a little bit more offensively, which we know those offensive instincts are still there. The way to process the game, like his smarts, all of that, the hockey sense is all still there with Taves. He's just waiting for his body to hopefully catch up with his brain, and I think a move to the wing would definitely help that out. It's like when we had Brian Little hanging around, and I always wanted to see him moved off to the wing because he was a 35 goal scorer when he was a winger, It's one of those things where some guys are just maybe a little bit suited more to that space, especially later on in the career. So if we're going to get a look at that going forward, I wouldn't mind it. If they're going to leave Taves at center and have Lowry on the wing, which we saw also for a bit tonight, I'm less excited about that one. I think, again, the big thing would be get Taves out of the middle for right now, let him work on things up on the wing, and see if you can work something out there. Nemestikov is fine for a third line, fourth line center at limited minutes.
First, I want to address some funny stuff in the chat. As I see Matthew Hyman, who me and him have been very passive-aggressive on the Winnipeg Jets lately together, says, "See, Nick, the Jets are back, baby," with a wink. Nice to see you in the chat, and maybe they roll this into something. Not necessarily buying it's the formula quite yet. And I see Blake G has noticed that the YouTube has changed how the usernames work, and he's quite happy because I mess up his name all the time anyways. Welcome to the Nicolainum host effect, where names are not my strong suit. Glad to see you there. But I wanted to touch on Scarborough 21's point before talking about this point. Says, this really all says to me is that, like last year, we were all right about trying Nick Ehlers with Adam Lowry, which was like the Winnipeg Jets' biggest miss in their window last year. Yep. And why it's so frustrating to me that they get so frigid in their plan A. Interesting that they went there in game 20, what was it, 6/27, where he went from the 2C to the 2-wing. I do feel a bit more comfortable with him on the wing now that I've kind of seen it. I also just never thought they'd pull this trigger. Um, Less responsibility for where he's at in the game. I thought that line was defensively responsible, but I don't think they really created much. So I don't know if that's going to be the secret sauce. And as Scarborough also points out, says also, guys, this is Buffalo. I thought that line was fine. Like, they didn't give up anything as you'd expect with an Adam Lowry line. And I thought he had shown some signs today. Obviously, he gets that the penalty shot after he beats Rasmus Dahlin, and Dahlin does everything possible to haul him back. And I gotta say, if you were watching the sports books and live tracking the game, Adam Lowry shooting 5-hole for a save had to be the overwhelming favorite.
Yep.
But we do see him work to get that one. Yeah, I'm intrigued, I guess, by the John Taves on the wing thing. Don't think what I saw from them was the answer. I want to say their best attempt came from a Cole Perfetti shot in the slot that was blocked.
Yep.
From what I saw from them, I thought there was not a lot going on for either team, and maybe that's what you want, is a second line that could kind of do that and have the first line go out and do what they've been doing and go Globetrotters mode. I just think, again, we're kind of shuffling the deck chairs with the middle. It works on this night. We'll see what happens tomorrow night, where I'd expect the same lineup to get a crack at this with the Edmonton Oilers on a back-to-back. And then things get difficult next year with Dallas, or next week, not next year. Next week with Dallas and Dallas and Boston on the horizon. I think it was passable. I don't think it's the secret sauce they've been looking for, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess if you want it to be where, the top line's going to play over a third of the game every game, and then the other three lines are just there to be, me tonight, the wet blanket, to just go out there and just stifle all the air out of the building, suck all the, speed out of the game. I never want to hear that they're a speed team or a fast team for the rest of the year. This is a muck it up, slow it down, shut down the center of the ice for three lines, and then, like you said, hope the top line goes globetrotter while they play over a third of the game. If that's the recipe while we wait for Hellboy to come back, then it'll be a roller coaster, and some nights will be a lot of fun and some nights won't be. But I think this is maybe the new reality for the Jets going forward for the next little bit. Is you've got one line that's going to go out there and press it hard in the offensive zone, and then you've got three lines to just gum up the works.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see where it goes. At the end of the day, they need a top six winger at some point that's going to score goals, or to try splitting up the two. They just got a fresh slate, and we're going to see more. But I think we all know where it's going to be heading here as this continues to move along. But we also know that they're going to stick to this for a little bit longer because they beat the Buffalo Sabres. What'd you think? Let's move to the defense for a second. What did you think of Samberg and Pionk, who like their game against Montreal? Obviously, Pionk's working his way back from injury. Let's start with them. What'd you see from the second pair? And then we'll get into the third pair, where Elias Salmonson stayed in with Logan Stanley on this night. Let's talk a little defense from the Winnipeg Jets tonight.
Yeah, the second pairing was easily the best pairing last game. So that was really, it was encouraging to see, right, as Pionk works his way kind of back in, and while Dylan Samberg does as well. He's back for a little bit longer than some of the other guys there, but we still haven't seen peak Dylan Samberg. We haven't seen his best yet, while he still kind of works a few things out, I think. So it wasn't from an analytics standpoint not their best night if you're looking at just what the numbers were. Buffalo was peppering shots, but they were doing that across the board all night. I thought they were good again tonight. I'm interested to see which one of them, or if it's both of them, has it click first here, because we're going to need it at some point, and soon. We're going to need them to kind of turn back into what we saw last year, which was a pseudo first pairing in some respects, right? Especially with the effect that Samberg had on Pionk there. So I'm really hoping we get back to that sooner than later.
Yeah, I thought this was a game, especially right off the start, that Neil Pionk came out to play. He had a couple big hits early in this one. I thought he was moving the puck well. They gave up a couple of chances, but that was a pair I still really did trust there. Samberg still still a bit off, especially with the net front coverages, which is so weird to me given what we saw from him last year. I thought this was a 50-50 game for them, and
Yeah.
I like some of the details within it and where they continue to work. Where the Jets, I think, does continue to struggle is the third pair. What did we think of Stanley Solomonsson tonight?
It's tough because you've got two guys that, one is a rookie. He's just learning the speed of the game at the NHL level right now. He's got tons of tools. He's got, there's offense in there. And the other one's Solomonson. No, I'm kidding. I had to a little bit. It was a tough night for that third pairing. They're not getting a ton of minutes. The minutes that they are getting they're getting shelved pretty hard. They're being deployed with the fourth line as well, which is not helping things out. In game, I'm staring at it going, why? I don't understand why you don't want to give, that pairing at least a little bit more of an opportunity to not be hemmed in their own zone so much. So it's a weird situation for me. I don't think I'd prefer them to keep going at it this way, but glad that Solomonson is getting some games in. Stanley unfortunately had a Mason Appleton moment tonight on the doorstep. He's gonna want that that goal back. He's gonna want that shot there. But outside of that, it was.
Man, I was getting ready watching Stanley drive that post and seeing Scheif. I'm like, Scheif's just finding him. He's tapping one in here. I was getting ready to start the fourth line left wing Logan Stanley train. But then unfortunately does have a Mason Appleton moment and does not bury. That deep pair does have a lot of trouble once they get forechecked in. I think Salo really follows the game well, and watching him at the rink today, I do like where his game can trend, though we see the minutes, and I don't think he's going to get much more trust. Hayden Fleury is around the corner, and this pair has been tough. I don't think he's the worst of the two on the pair, but it is also a pair I wouldn't trust if I was a coach, and I do think there's some validity to what you're talking about with the fourth line minutes. They got to find out some sort of answer here. I'm still on let's keep giving Salo the time to adjust, but we did see Hayden Fleury is no longer in the concussion protocol. I imagine he practices fully Monday, and a decision probably gets made there.
Yep.
So I would brace ourselves for that one coming around the corner here.
Oh, that's absolutely coming. As soon as Fleury is completely cleared, all the non-contact jersey, everything off, Salo's going to be going back down to the Moose there, which again is fine. He's got a few games in here now. We know that the Jets are going with the veteran lineup, with the NHL experience being their number one priority at the moment. So it won't be a shock when it happens, and we know that once there's a couple more injuries, he'll slide back in there.
As talked about yesterday, so if you want to hear a bit more of a discussion, it's early in yesterday's show. But Jets fan 24 says Salmonson needs to be paired with Morrissey, drop DeMello down. And we discussed this one yesterday. I disagree with that wholeheartedly myself. But if you want to hear a topic like that, we did discuss that scenario at the beginning of yesterday's show. At Caitlin Doucette says, and I do agree with this, the Stan Meave is unfortunately over. He's been unplayable recently. I do think he's had a tough go. The entire Jets collection of third pairings guys have arguably been unplayable
Having a
this
rough
year.
time, yeah.
You're picking the best from the worst this year, and that is an easy spot to get more production from at some point here. I would like Salo to continue to be a part of that, but I think we're seeing the last of him today probably. I'm going to guess on the back-to-back he gets pulled tomorrow, and we get to watch McDavid expose Luke Shen at home a little bit.
Don't say that.
No, they won today. They'll keep the same lineup. I don't know on the back-to-back.
Hard to say.
Back-to-back normally is when he bumps them. We'll see. We'll see.
Could go either way, but honestly, it won't make much of a difference in the 11 minutes at most that they're going to play.
Yes. At Robert Starr says something here. I'm curious your opinion on it. Says, funny, apparently the Jets are old and slow, yet the Penguins' core is older and slower 3 years ago now. Really old, but having a pretty good start to the year. What do you think the difference is with the Pens and the Winnipeg Jets so far this year?
I haven't watched a lot of Pens games, I'm going to be honest. I don't really know what the what the secret is happening over there. It's it's a tough one. How about you?
They're old guys like the Crosby, Malkin, Carlson crew is having real hot starts, and when you do have elite talent, it can tip the scales. Kindle's been a real nice addition for them
Yeah.
as a rookie coming out of the draft where they got him. So they've taken some strides there. I don't expect them to stick around in this thing, but for them to be where they are, they're on 104 point pace, and that's not something that I necessarily saw coming. And I do think Scarborough 21 says you could be slow but play with pace. And when you have an elite IQ hockey player like a Sidney Crosby and of Jenny Malkin and Eric Carlson who moves the puck extremely well, those things tend to benefit the Pittsburgh Penguins at the top of their roster.
So you're saying that Gustav Nyquist and Tanner Pearson aren't as good as Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Yeah, not quite, but that's where I would look at for the differences in those two teams at this stage. I don't know if it's a perfect comparison because the Jets core is younger than the Pittsburgh core, and I do think Pittsburgh's they're in the middle of what's going to be a rebuild, retool there. But that's what I would look at differently is their guys are like NHL elite Hall of Fame level guys compared to what we're talking about here.
And if you're comparing the cores of the team, like you said, the Jets core is much younger, and the Jets core is still producing and playing good offensive hockey. It's just the everything beyond that core set. So it's like you said, a little bit different of a situation between the two.
I'm going to answer Ecker and Robert Starr here in a way I think that's going to surprise them. Robert Starr says Stan was good with Pionk, and Ecker says Stan and Pionk were decent early when Sandberg was out. Put Sandberg with Salo and Stan with Pionk. Stanley and Pionk were one of the worst D pairings in the NHL if you run the numbers on them. And Connor Hellebuyck was stopping 98% of shots when they were on the ice. I don't want to be going down that train. I think that just gets more messy for the Winnipeg Jets. You can get away with a bad third pair. I don't think you can get away with a bad second pair, and that's what you're asking yourself to do there. That's just not something I can kind of get on board with when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets D. The D has their issues. I just don't think that that's an answer.
Yep, totally agree. They were not good together. They just weren't. They got absolutely hemmed in during their minutes. So, yeah, no, that's not an experiment I'm excited to try.
No. Let's get into the From Financial Faceoff. The Winnipeg Jets get a win on this night. I'm thinking the From Financial Faceoff could have some doozies as we get into it. We want to hear from you in the chat. The From Financial Faceoff. What was the difference in the Winnipeg Jets versus Buffalo Sabres game tonight, in which the Winnipeg Jets put up a 4-1 W over the Buffalo Sabres? Let us know in the chat. We'll discuss what you noticed in this one. Mikey, let's move into the From Financial Faceoff.
Let's hit it. Right on.
Right on. Mikey, as usual, let's start you off. What is your From Financial Faceoff in the Winnipeg Jets versus Buffalo Sabres game?
Right on. So for my From Financial Faceoff, in a game where Eric Comrie had to make 34 saves as it is to go out there and get a win for the Jets, I'm going to say that the one of the big differences was the fact that the Jets were able to eliminate a lot of the second chances on Comrie. They cleaned up a lot of the rebounds. They were able to corral things, especially out into the corners. So the fact that they weren't able to get those big 2, 3, 4 shots on him before finding something over top was I think a big part of the game tonight. So Comrie did a great job, made a ton of saves, and I think the Jets did a good job supporting him down low and eliminating second chances.
I like that one. I do like that one, especially with what I thought. I thought the Buffalo Sabres did get a lot of quality looks around that crease, but I think you absolutely nail it that the Winnipeg Jets buckled down around it, and it did not cost them. I like that point from you, Mikey. Diving into the chat, I see the From Financial Faceoff from 0Ghost8 is Buffalo remembering it is Buffalo. And Scarborough 21 saying the From Financial Faceoff being the real Buffalo Sabres played tonight. That does relate where I wanted to go with mine, but I think I'll switch it up so we talk about a few different things here. But I viewed this game in-house, and I was talking with my brother as we walked back to my place after the game, and I was like, what'd you think of this one? And both of us had thought that the Buffalo Sabres gave this one up to Winnipeg a bit more than Winnipeg necessarily earned it. Um, they had a real rough showing, especially when it came to puck management, and yet they were still able to create a ton of high quality looks against the Winnipeg Jets. I like the idea of Buffalo remembering their Buffalo as the idea of the From Financial Faceoff in this one. Caitlin Doucette says From Financial Faceoff is that Buffalo's defense is bad, like really bad. And yeah, we saw how many odd man rushes off of key mistakes, especially at the. You know what irritates coaches is mistakes at either blue line. And I thought Buffalo did a horrendous job of managing those two spots of the ice. And I thought the Winnipeg Jets did a real good job of taking advantage of that. So credit to them there. My From Financial Face-Off. You know what? I'm looking for optimism today. We got to win. My From Financial Face-Off is the Winnipeg Jets looking like the Winnipeg Jets that we want them to look like for the back 10 minutes of that third period. They got up 2 goals, and they really shut this one down and controlled the game down the stretch of the third period. And if you're looking to be optimistic that things can turn a corner, I think the way that they played down the stretch to close this one off was somewhere that you could pull some hope that they could turn this over and start finding that 5-on-5 game that could lend some credits to feeling good about where their game is trending, because I'm not quite there yet. But that last 10 minutes is going to be my From Financial Faceoff, where the Winnipeg Jets really shut this thing down, look like the team I've gained trust in the last few years, not this year. And they close out a win versus Buffalo. That's where I'll go with mine today.
So I'm hearing it was the nuclear option then. It was the Adam Lowry, Johnny Taves pair up. It's like back in the day when you put Taves and Kane together. They found it. They found the magic.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that we're going to be saying that tomorrow night with a date with the McDavid, Draisaitl Oilers and what they just decided to do.
Now, do you think the Jets go in tomorrow with the lineup that started the game today, or the lineup that finished the game today? And is it going to be Lowry or Taves who sits on the wing tomorrow?
Taves.
Taves? Excellent. All right.
That would be my guess. What's your guess here?
I'm going to go with lineup that finished the game today, but I think they're going to put Lowry on the wing.
I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
I hope I'm wrong.
A couple more From Financial Faceoffs. Jets fan 24 says Comrie did his best impression of Hellebuck. And I do think we got to talk about Eric Comrie and the confidence he seems to be playing with, the athleticism side to side, even though there was a couple. The guy overslid, and there was a couple wide open cages. There was one right in front of my seat. I still don't know how the Buffalo Sabres did not poke it in.
Unreal.
But Eric Comrie looked confident. He looked on top of his crease. There was a shoulder save off a one-timer on Dahlin that looked difficult for him, and he still got it.
Yep.
Eric Comrie has answered the bell 2 straight games to the Winnipeg Jets and given them chances to win in 2 straight games. A big reason the Winnipeg Jets have gotten 3 points in the last 4 games is Eric Comrie really settling into himself and finding it. So, you know what? I like that from Jets fan 24, who wanted his From Financial Faceoff to be crediting Eric Comrie. And in my viewpoint, Eric Comrie deserves it and then some.
Absolutely. And if you've got a From Financial Faceoff or anything else you want to talk about, give us a call, 1-204-800-0409. Get on the line. Give us a call at the landing strip.
Also to answer, Jets fan 24, is Milic playing tomorrow? That is the plan. His first 2 games in the NHL. Welcome to the NHL kid, the Carolina Hurricanes.
Right to the Wolves.
And the Edmonton Oilers. He's looked confident early in his career.
Yep.
Let's see how the back-to-back versus Edmonton goes tomorrow. I might be hitting the old overs on the sportsbook.
Might be a smart move.
T-Kona Polly's From Financial Faceoff is dripping with sarcasm, saying we now have 2 lines. At Palmer Lane's From Financial Faceoff is thinking everything is fine as is because they beat the great Buffalo squad. And yeah, this team's definitely getting a 5-game slate of nothing changing because of this win, in which their backup goalie gets 34 saves. But the Winnipeg way will lead us somewhere. And at Scarborough says, let's face it, Helly back, we make the playoffs, and we'll be out first round to Avs. That is the upside of this roster. I'm hoping you're wrong in a sense, but that feels like a likely scenario.
Caitlin asks, do the Jets' last 2 games show that Helly could still drag this team to wild card 2? Yeah, I think I think Connor, it's Connor Hellebuck, right? At the end of the day, if he goes out and is in Vezina form again and puts up just a ridiculous run the way that he has, yeah, he could drag them to wild card 2. Would it be a good idea? No, they'll probably get shellacked pretty hard in the playoffs, which then causes everybody to freak out about Hellebuck and all these other things. So it probably would be bad in the long run for that to be the way that it goes. But yeah, I actually could see Hellebuck dragging them there. It's always possible. It's always possible.
We'll see. There's still 2 to 4 weeks without him, and go look at the schedule. I don't think they're making it out. Yeah, I don't think they're making it out of December in that type of range. I really don't. Especially these last 2 games, despite getting the points, are not games I think the Winnipeg Jets are building into something that we should be worried about here.
No, again, like we talked about it at the top, this game was the same game we've watched them play the last little while with a couple small variations here or there. At the core of it, it's still a one-line team and one pairing going off each night. So until those issues are actually, fixed and they find a way to work around that, yeah, it's probably going to be a long couple weeks, especially with the way the schedule tightens up.
Bodie Clegg wants to debate the Taves-Lowry thing a little bit, so let's talk about it. Bodie Clegg says, I disagree. Taves is better at faceoffs. Why not have Taves take the draw and Adam Lowry plays center? What is your thoughts on that from Bodie Clegg in the chat?
I think we're kind of in line, Bodie. I would want Lowry to be the one playing center. I think Lowry is more suited to that at the moment than what Taves is. I want Taves to kind of get right playing the wing. Sure, if Taves has a better face-off game than Lowry, great. He can take the draws and they can swap back into proper position once the play starts. I'm fine with that. I don't put as much stock into the face-off thing, to be honest. I know everybody gets all up in arms about it, and oh my God, you got to win all the face-offs. Yeah, it's good to win a face-off. It's good to win any puck battle. Starting with the puck is fine, but it's not the end-all be-all. And if you're going to make a decision on who's playing in the center position during open play based just on face-offs, then I'm out. I don't want Taves in there. But sure, if Taves can take the draws and then swipe over to the wing and Lowry slots back over, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, if I just look at the responsibilities of a center, I definitely would rather Adam Lowry taking on those responsibilities compared to John Taves and where John Taves' game is. Faceoffs are just such a singular puck battle, and if you want him to take a faceoff, sure. But as far as the responsibilities of a centerman, it's got to be Adam Lowry. It's not even a comparison at this point, I don't think.
I agree.
Choices TK reminds us the Jets have the second toughest schedule the rest of the season, playing against 580 win percent.
Oof.
Something to keep in mind when we're talking about where this continues to go. I think it's a little cart before the horse that a couple points here and all of a sudden we're back into the mix of this thing here. This is going to be a wild card race right until the end, and I don't think the Winnipeg Jets are in the best position for what this race looks like, despite ending tonight so far in wild card 2.
They only need like 1 or 2 game breakers. That's all. Just add 1 or 2 game breakers and they're good to go.
Yeah, and Bodie says Jets win tomorrow and have a decent game. There better be some more positivity from everyone in the chat and on Twitter.
That's right.
And I need to see a real stretch from the Winnipeg Jets at this point. I saw people suggesting they're back and Doomers are wrong and this was a great hockey game. And again, if you look at the scoreboard, they got the win. They got 2 goals out of their fourth line. They got a big night out of Eric Comrie. Their top line continues to cook. If you look at how this game was played, I don't see this as a sustainable model, and that the idea that you're buying into it, I think it's going to hurt at the end, especially for where this schedule is going. But hey, we're about to find out because they're going to test it. There is no changes coming. It's going to take a miserable stretch, an even more miserable stretch than we've already seen. Scott O'Neill, actually, Daniel Bain with TSN. Let's talk about it quickly. asked Scott Arniel what he likes about keeping the top line together. And he had even laughed and acknowledged that the last couple of days they've put some serious thought into it and they want to get through this stretch before they get to practice on Monday, and talked about spreading the wealth. I think we'll have a better idea tomorrow. But if tomorrow goes ugly, do you buy the idea that they may spread the wealth in Winnipeg?
No, I don't. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't believe you, Scott. I don't. I'm sorry. I truly do not, because then he wouldn't qualify for the Peace Award, and that's just not happening. They're going to want to work through it the way that they've been trying to work through it. The win tonight, I think, is going to reinforce that fact. Even in a big loss tomorrow, it's the second half of a back-to-back. They just played last night. Edmonton's such a good team. It's McDavid. It's Draisaitl. There's so many built-in things. So no, I don't think a single loss tomorrow, changes their trajectory on how they're going to approach the lineup. I think you would need to see like sustained, like continued losses again on top of it, because one win resets the clock, unfortunately, for this group. And even in those interviews where he was asked about it earlier in the day, he was asked about it during the pregame stuff they showed during the broadcast. Even when he's like, yeah, we've been musing it. Yeah, we've been thinking about it. He very quickly also jumps in with, but they're also the only line that's producing. And if you take away those guys, then, the fate of the team is even like, there's a lot of lip service being paid to of course we're exploring all the possibilities, but at the end of the day, your past behavior is the best indicator of your future behavior. And for the last 2.5 years, that line stays together come hell or high water. So I don't think the one game would change it.
May says Scott has made a lot of changes you didn't expect him to. You really are hesitant to give him any credit, which is understandable considering he keeps playing Shen. I'm sorry, a coach moving the deck chairs around on a team that has roster issues, that's going through a stretch where they've won 2 games in the last 8. I think that's a real tough place to be giving an NHL coach any bit of credit over the last little bit. And I'm someone that's been defending old Scott here and Neil, but every single time it's like the recording is here.
Yeah.
The same issues are happening, but nothing's being addressed other than moving around the deck chairs.
Yeah, I'm not sure which things that he's earned the extra credit for. Sticking 28 games before realizing that Taves can't handle the load. Playing Shen continually against opponents who are leaving him in the dust. Like I understand there's so much more to operating an NHL locker room, to running a group like that. There are so many personalities you have to manage. There's so many relationships you have to manage on top of all of the tactics and all of the other things. I totally get that. But when you have a large contingent of, of the hockey kind of world saying, hey, maybe this is something to try out. It seems to work on 31 other teams. You guys might want to give it a shot. I don't think that's an insane thing to do, and I don't think it makes him a hero for ignoring it.
May does say all he has is deck chairs, and that's something I firmly agree with. But until the Winnipeg Jets are willing to go the same place that 31 other organizations are and split up their top guys, I don't want to hear excuses, because they're not experimenting in every way possible to get the most out of the team. I think that's just an excuse at this point. Especially when we see the same thing over and over. Even
using Jonathan Taves as an old example, right? Back in the day, the reason they called it the nuclear option was because Taves and Kane didn't play together most of the time. They played on separate lines because you needed to move the offense around. But when they were chasing, when they needed it, when it was late, you put the two of them together and you go on a rampage. The Jets can do those type of things. They can play power play together. They can play late in the game together. They can have offensive starts after there's so many ways that you can still get them opportunities together while also giving the rest of your lineup an opportunity while you have nothing but deck chairs to shuffle around.
And we saw in the playoffs, Mikko Rantanen was playing minutes with the pluggers on the fourth line to get
double
him
shifting
out. To get him out against the bottom of the Jets lineup and he'd take over shifts. Why can't we get creative like that with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor playing a part? I do want to go to Scarborough, who pitched a different version of the top 6 than I've seen. I'm curious your thoughts on it. Scarborough 21 wants to see Larry, Taves, Velarde, Connor, Scheif, Iafallo. What do you think of that? And Scarborough, now I'll let Mikey go first. I'll let Mikey go through first.
Connor Scheif, Iafallo is fine. It's the CSI line. We saw it last year a little bit when Velarde was hurt. It's not my preferred way of working that out. I think you need to. I want the offense and the shooting of Connor and Scheifele split up. I just think you can do more damage with them apart. I think they're both good enough to play without each other. I know they're incredible together at over 100-point pace. They're fucking killing it right now. 15 goals each, leading the team. Totally get it. But I think they can still do pretty damn near that same level apart. And it would just help the Jets out, doubling the amount of minutes that you have those guys out there, essentially, right? That's what you're doing if you break them up. So instead of only a third of the game being impacted by your two best players, you could have 2/3 of the game now covered up by those guys on the ice constantly. So yeah, it's not my preferred way to run that lineup there, but the worst part is that's something I could see Arniel trying, right? Taking Velarde off of that top line and say, look, I did it. I broke up the top line, everybody. Now shut up. Shut up, nerds, as Michael Bay once said. So, I could see it happening, and I'll make sure that we've got the CSI drop ready to go if it happens, but it's not my preferred way.
Not my preferred way either. I think it's just another version of shuffling the deck chairs. You get less out of I can't see that line, the second version of that line skating. That's going to be quicksand for most of that group.
Yeah, you want to talk about
You're also once again still misusing the player you've taken with the 10th overall pick. You keep Scheifele and Connor together, so what the hell is the point? Again, I don't like it at all. I think it's just the coward's way out of trying to build a lineup with this group. And as L. May says, KC drove a line when Scheifele was injured in the playoffs, and they won those games. That Kyle Connor, Adam Lowry, Iafallo line won the Winnipeg Jets Game 7. At some point, y'all all got to come to the reality. I think that, I'm out on Scarborough's units. I don't want to see that at all, honestly. And that's what they're going to do. It's going to be Velarde for somebody at some point for 40 minutes, and then he's going to come back to it.
Right back.
But as Caitlin Doucette puts it, swapping Velarde off the first line but leaving 55 and 81 does nothing but make the first line worse, in my opinion. And it doesn't even create a second scoring line. At some point, your $12 million player and your $8.5 million elite 1C have to drive their own lines to make this work. That's the reality of it. Anything that works around it, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah,
good luck.
It's you see it on teams that go through these type of windows, right? Where you're starting to load up, you feel like you're in a spot where you're going to be in a run, you're adding veterans. Eventually you kind of get to a little bit of a point where you've got a few guys making big bucks, and then you're trying to plug and play behind that, right? You're trying to find the values, find the places where you can save a little bit of money so that you can keep those big name, big ticket item players. That means, though, that those guys have to do a little more. That means that you might have to play a part so that you can cover more minutes during the game. And again, like we said, there are ways to put you back together when it's important and when it's needed. But during that, bulk of the game, you may have to play a part, and it's okay. Other teams have done it over and over and over again and been successful. We can too.
We got a little debate. T. Will is trying to be funny, I think. If he's serious, I'm a little bit concerned about T. Will right now. And me and T. Will have been agreeing with each other a little bit too much lately, so I'm already uncomfortable with where things are. But T. Will says the From Financial Faceoff is how good a goalie Comrie can look when the Jets are playing their system. Would you call tonight the Winnipeg Jets system making Eric Comrie look good? Mikey, let's hear it from you. Is this a system thing?
Okay, so... No, it is not. That is absolutely the backwards way of seeing the game tonight. You may have been watching the game in rewind. I don't know if you were doing that. I know Prime can, so that's pretty cool. But no, this was not a system win. This was not some, clean, Jets absolutely dominating and implementing their will and Comrie sitting back making, 14 saves. Only the Jets do that to other starters, okay? So this was absolutely Eric Comrie going out, putting up a ton of saves. The Jets doing some good things like we've mentioned and talked about, clearing away some second chances and things like that. But overall, this was Buffalo giving the Jets every opportunity to win the game, and luckily the fourth line was able to come away with a couple chances when overall they weren't even that good. So yeah, no, this was not a system game, my guy.
Hey, If the Winnipeg Jets system involves getting outshot attempted 53 to 36, out unblocked shot attempted 42 to 30, regular shots on goal was 34 to 26, 25? Something along those lines.
Yep.
Scoring chances 22 to 17. High danger chances 9 to 7. If that's the Winnipeg Jets system making Eric Comrie look good, we've lost track of what the Winnipeg Jets defensive system looked like as far as last year. It wasn't the goaltender bailing out the team. It was the team playing a really good game that made things easy on the goaltender. And I don't think what the Winnipeg Jets gave up tonight was necessarily easy on Eric Comrie, though I think you made a good point that after the first attempt, the Winnipeg Jets did a better job of cracking down around Eric Comrie. I don't think this was a Winnipeg Jets system game, though. I don't think this is making the point you think you're making here, T-Will, tonight.
Yeah, this one's not going up in the Hall of Fame Ring of Honor. They're not going to be pulling this one out in a couple years to look back on with fond memories.
At Mackie is on the flight saying, currently packing for my flight back home to the Peg for the holidays. Have a safe travels and enjoy being home in the for the holidays. It's the Sabres, guys. These guys are still old farts. Just tank. We'll lose to the Avs in 5, in which L. May says they won't tank on purpose with the whole core age of 30 locked in anyways, not yet. And that's something you're going to have to be patient about. It's going to take some time before we see the org flip with what they're saying as far as their approach this year. They're going to try and build off of this. Now, will they? I think it's an entirely different question that's up for interpretation, but that's just not something you're going to see them acknowledge quite yet, though. I think you're a smart man to want it. I think you're a smart man with where this team is right now to want that scenario. That's all I'll say.
It's gonna be an interesting one tomorrow night to see how this plays out.
Bodie Clegg says, "Did I hear you say we are playing the best player in the world tomorrow? If so, that's a false statement. Mac over Davo. Mac clears. What do you think of that?"
No. Mac's playing maybe better at the moment. He's had a better start, sure. But at the end of the day, McDavid he's the best player in the world. I'm sorry.
Hey, I agree with you, but for selfish reasons and for me to be able to say I played against the best player in the world, we're going to go with McKinnon.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I rephrased my answer.
Yeah, we got to look after Nick's ego here.
Damn
for
right.
Nick to be able for Nick to be able to say he played against a Hart Trophy winner and now the best player in the NHL.
Let's
go. It's got to be McKinnon.
Damn right.
Definitely this year's MVP through the quarter poll. That is
for sure.
So Nate McKinnon has been on another level.
Heater.
I don't know if I'm buying Mac has been better for 3 seasons, including this season from Bodie Clegg, but this year he's definitely been the better player. Probably a case for last year too. McDavid didn't have the hottest year. Draisaitl was probably their best player last year.
Absolutely. That's how.
I'd hear an argument for the last 2 years.
You can convince me on that one. You can convince me on 2.
3.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Good that the best player in the world is in our division.
Yeah, great.
We still haven't seen the Colorado Avalanche and what that hockey is going to look like against this current iteration of the Jets. I feel is going to break some brains and things are going to really hit. So we'll see when we get to that level because that's got to be around the corner, eh? Winnipeg schedule. Let's see. It's got to be coming up for the Winnipeg Jets here.
We've got them
December 19th, right before Christmas. Oh, that's going to feel really good right before the holidays.
That'll be a real present.
That is going to feel real good around the holidays. Zero Ghost 8 says, I would bet money that Nick Slufit is the best player in the world. Nick was not able to keep up with the best player in the world. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. At Sugar Hill Sleep agrees with us as we're getting piped against the Avs. 2 questions here let's address, and then let's get into the 3 stars and get along with our Friday evenings. Palmerlane says, do you think we'll actually have Olympic hockey? And Jets Fan 24 says, unrelated question, is Scheifele on your Team Canada? We go down to the Olympic Team Canada watch with Scheifele every couple shows. Are the NHLers going to the Olympics? And I know your answer, but for Jets fan 24, is Mark Scheifele going with them if they do?
I'll hit the second question first. I think Scheifele is going. I think he's got a spot on that 14-man roster there. For the forwards, I mean. He's got the counting stats. He put in the good showing the other night in front of the Team Canada execs. I think everything's pointing at Scheifele getting on that team. Whether he's a starting player for them, that's a completely different question, and that's going to be real interesting to see if he gets many games in or where he slots in. But I do think he'll be traveling with Team Canada. And I do think they're still going to go even after the fucking mess with the rinks and everything. I think they're going to find some way to just come to an agreement on it all, and I think they'll still end up going.
I'm getting a bit more nervous about them going. The IOC seems to have really butchered this rink scenario.
Yeah.
Fascinated to see where it all goes, but I'm getting less and less confident. Friedman had a list of 7 players that are fighting for 2, maybe 3 spots. Mark Scheifele was on this list. Bedard was on this list. Celebrini was on this list. Tom Wilson was on this list. Nick Suzuki was on this list. Forget the other 2. I got to start writing this shit down. My take is I believe Mark Scheifele has earned an Olympic spot. I'm not convinced he gets an Olympic spot. And so I guess that's kind of me sitting on the fence, but I do genuinely believe if Mark Scheifele made the team, he's earned it, and he might even be a snub if he doesn't. I just think with where the Canada depth is, the names we're talking about, I'm really fascinated to see how Hockey Canada goes with it. I do think he's earned it. I really, really do.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think he's earned it. I can't remember who mentioned it on the last show, but there's also the personal side of things, right? How the executives that are putting the team together want to build a roster, what their personalities that they're looking for. So there's always a chance that, he gets left off for personal reasons. But yeah, in terms of play on the ice, I think he's earned a spot.
A couple of Jets and Avs facts. Choices TK points out that we still have 7 games against the Avs and the Stars this year. So that's quite a lot left on the old schedule for this team. Mackie reminds us of a fun fact. The Avs have not scored inside CLC since 2023 playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, we shut them out all year at home last season. And I believe Connor Hellebuck had both of his shutouts against the Avs at home last year. I believe that's correct.
Yep.
It might be off, but I believe that is correct. From Mackie. L. May says, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how legendary the Avs beat down against us will be. St. Louis Blues in playoffs level or worse. I don't think it'll look as physical as the Blues did. I think the pace to it will remind us of the home games against the Avs in the playoffs a couple of years ago. I think that's where things are going. The way that the Colorado Avalanche, they terrify me watching them play hockey right now. Yeah. They have everything going well. They look like a freight train. Yeah, that is coming up. I'm curious to see how that looks, especially with Eric Comrie or Thomas Milic starting in that one and not having Connor Hellebuck.
Yes. So the games for the regular season last year were both shutouts at home for the Jets.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Great shout, Mackie. Great shout. Bodie Clay asks, when the heck did you play against Mac? When he was at Shattuck, my AAA team got 3 exhibition games with him down in Shattuck. He ended up going to the Q first overall the next year. The rest is history. Only player I've ever played against that you knew right away was going to the NHL. It was disgusting what he did to us. It was not fun. It was pretty embarrassing, if I'm being quite honest. Jets fan 24 says, I'm in Calgary and the media here is 50-50 on Scheifele making Team Canada. L. May says, Mark Scheifele is carrying his team. They have to see that. I think those are both true. And it kind of arrives where my take is. Like, I think he's earned it. He's shown it this year. He's played at an elite level. But where some of those guys is on the fringe of the roster too have also been at that level with the Bedard and Celebrini of it all. Those guys haven't showed up. I think it's close. I think he deserves to be there. We'll see. Caitlin Doucette asks, do the Avs break the points record? What do you think there?
Ooh, I'm going to say no. I don't think they'll probably end up getting that lofty with it. Even the Juggernauts kind of slow down a little bit as you kind of get closer to that playoff time once everything's kind of locked up. So I'm going to say no, they don't quite break the record.
I know right now they're on pacing to be competitive with it. They're getting the goaltending from both their guys. They're getting the MVP years from Makar and McKinnon. Brock Nelson's really bounced back for them to give them depth. Nikishkin, as long as he could stay away from the hard drugs, looks like he can still play hockey. Landeskog might be fun. You know what? I'm gonna say that they push it. I'm gonna say Colorado does break the record. Let's go back and forth on this one.
Speaking of breaking a record, do either of the Winnipeg Jets points leaders right now, Mark Scheifele or Kyle Connor, break the franchise points record this year? Single season one?
Sorry, say that again. I kind of zoned out.
Do you think Scheifele or Connor is going to break the single season points franchise record this year?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. The way they're going, all this team has. We talked about this in the preseason. I think you predicted both would hit 100. I had Scheifele getting over 90. I had Connor getting to 100. Looks like I had the wrong horse ahead at this stage of the race. I think they're going to have to keep this team going.
Yep.
I think they're going to continue being relied upon. We've seen them at their best, I think, so far this year. One of them's hitting 100. We're getting our first triple-digit Winnipeg Jet, and I think that's pretty fucking cool.
Because you've got Hosa's got the current one at 100 even.
101, eh?
101 to break it. They've got to go over the triple for it. I think
one of them does it.
I'm saying they both do it still. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I think at least one gets there. One's gonna have it by the end of this year. The way things are going here, unless something really goes off the rails in the second half.
They cancel the Olympics and then Scheifele quits and sulks.
Yeah, let's get into the 3 stars and let's get out of here on this one.
Right on, let's hit it. Right on.
I do got to shout out the chat here. Mackie says, my best friend's brother is an Avs fan, so that's my only comeback I could use. He tells me every time he can't wait for the Avs to beat the Jets in 5 this coming year. And Eldon May says, tell him he's wrong. They win in 4.
Oh. Burn.
And also points out, and then for some reason they lose to Dallas. Scarborough says Scheif not making Team Canada. Sorry, boys. Definitely might not. Like, he's on the fringe here.
Yeah.
Let's get into the 3 stars though. Mikey, on this night, who do you got as your 3 stars from the Winnipeg versus Buffalo Sabres?
On this A+ 5-star night. For number 3, I've got Gabe Vilardi up on that top line. I want to quote Blake G from the chat here earlier on, who said, I thought Gabe Vilardi was just a middle 6 guy who got carried by the top line, but he's really showing he's a big-time player. And I agree. I think Gabe's really, especially between last year and this year, is showing more and more that he belongs on that spot and that he's not just a passenger. So I thought he was good again tonight. Gets the the empty netter insurance at the very end, but I liked Gabe's game, so I'm giving him number 3. Second star is going to going to be shared by the 4th line right across the board, Koepke, Pearson, and Barron. Even though they got absolutely kind of blown up during the minutes they were out there, they thankfully went out and got us some depth scoring. So the 4th line, you can have the 2nd star. You guys got to share it, though. Number 1 star, Eric Comrie, 34 saves. One of the biggest reasons I think the Jets have been able to see any points in these last few games. Comrie has been putting his best foot forward every single time, and like you said, there will be no Eric Comrie slander in these walls.
Yeah, no. The idea that Eric Comrie was the problem, he's given the Winnipeg Jets a big push for 3 out of the 4 points that they just got against Montreal and Buffalo. Let's keep into context. It was Montreal and Buffalo, but he did that. He did that. Over on YouTube, Ecker's 3 stars are Pionk 3rd, Koepke 2nd, Comrie 1st. Scarborough says Comrie, which I imagine is his first and only star. Jets fan 24 says 1 Comrie, 2 Koepke, 3 take your pick. And L. May says or at Parmaline says, and then L.May replies. At Parmaline says it'd be funny if they put Shen in for a game against the Avs to bring the physicality, and L.May says playing Shen is never funny. It's elder abuse. But L.May has been on fire here tonight with the good jokes. My 3 stars are gonna be number 3, Cole Koepke. Welcome to the Winnipeg Jets goal scorer column. Gets 2 points on this one, including his first goal and a primary assist. I'm going to go number 2, Gabe Vilardi. I think we give a lot of credit to Mike Shifley and Kyle Connor, justifiably so. But I think Blake really nailed that, and what we've seen from Gabe Vilardi, I think, take another step as this season's gone on. And I thought this was a game where he was all over it for that line. So I'm going to go Gabe Vilardi on this night. And number 1, made some big saves. He's looking confident in the crease. Didn't get beat outside of the 1 power play goal. Eric Comrie makes 30-plus saves on a night where Buffalo outshoots the Winnipeg Jets. Eric Comrie, back-to-back games as the number 1 star. Good on him, man. That's something I thought we'd be saying in this stretch in December. Right. Eric Starr, number 1 star. At Parmaline on the way out points out Koepke, the youngest of the Jets' offseason signings. Vilardi and Comrie are his 3 stars as well. Thank you for being here on this Friday evening. Thank you for supporting this show. I hope you enjoy your Friday evening after the Winnipeg Jets put a W up on the board against Buffalo. Wasn't pretty, but it does count for 2 points. They find themselves in the wild card. We will be back late tomorrow after a 9 p.m. start against the Edmonton Oilers on the back-to-back. Can they parlay a real strong 10 minutes to end this game to guarantee themselves a win? Some new middle 6 lines. Tell me if you've heard that before. Can they roll this into a quality game in front of Thomas Milic against the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow? I guess we'll find out. We'll be back here to chat about it. So we'll see you then.
All right. Good night, everybody.